Right, we are back with Alan Greenwood, and a citizen of the world, basically. Headquartered in Texas, business in Europe, in London, Hawaii, you name it. Alan, you've got a background of accomplishments, what I would say basically all around human capital, and it's people. From your, youth GEDs that I read about in careers to training to quote unquote cruising into leadership development, performance, and now the COO of Inspiration FX. Share with us how you've evolved in your career, and are you doing what you said you always wanted to do when you were growing up, type of deal?
Well, two kind of thought processes there. Yes, I am doing. First of all, I'll answer the second one first because it kind of leads in. The second question, where did it begin? How did it start? Am I doing what I wanted to do when I was a kid? I actually was very shy. I was an extremely shy person in my younger years. Very little self-confidence, and I just always used to watch these people. And back in the UK, we have this term of having the gift of the gab.
Right.
Somebody, it was in many ways, it was kind of associated to people that could just talk the way in and out of anything. But what I realized was people that could really effectively communicate, their worlds opened up. They had more opportunity than anybody else. So I really wanted to kind of understand how that worked. Initially, I used to think it was all about personality. And then I realized that personality was not the central word. You need to have a personality, but effective communication is actually the key to success in life. And there's a great statement that I can't remember who said it now, but I use it in my training sessions quite frequently. And it says, the quality of your communication determines the quality of your life. And I have never been able to prove that wrong. So I've worked very hard and done a lot of things to help build my self-confidence personally, and also, I've been very lucky to have been surrounded by some incredible people that have helped me do that as well.
Well, you are who you associate with to a great degree, right? And but I find it fascinating that I've coached a lot of kids over the years, and you've been involved with young people in your career. In a sense, that's a little bit of leadership development happening there too.
It is. I used to teach karate, I've taught judo, I've taught gymnastics, and children, even raising your own children, teach you how to be a leader or how not to be a leader. Sometimes we learn in reverse order, and I absolutely have not had a perfect track record my whole life. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've gone from one extreme to the other, and I think the biggest stage where I was able to grow was when I worked in the cruise industry. Mm-hmm. Within many organizations, everybody goes home at the end of the day, and you have chance to process things, or what most people do is generate dialogue inside their head about what happened in that day, and then they go in all fueled up about something that wasn't even there. The cruise industry, you never have a chance to go home. You're in there, you live with people, you socialize with everybody. It is a 24/7 operation. So I got to learn some really interesting skills and perspectives of what really helped me get along with people in a better way, and also helped me be more effective in the position that I had, which was titled People and Performance Manager. Rather than HR Manager, it was titled People and Performance, which was a very clever way of really helping the individual in my position understand what our role and duties were.
I think that's a great place where it showed us that words do matter by how you describe yourself. That's great. So, well, talking about talent, our firm, we focus for our clients all the time on attracting the quote unquote right fit people. We'll always present the best qualifications, but the really key is the right fit, and also the value of what I call, and we've talked about this, a strong why that goes with the ability to do great talent acquisition, development, retention. Talk with us about your experience, how people truly still are the number one asset, and what leaders offer and create for their people in their business to ensure, or what they have to offer to ensure that their companies and businesses succeed.
Well, I'm glad you raised the point and acknowledged that people are the one asset. Far too many people focus on the bottom line, as I mentioned earlier. People, if you have got a good team who have found their why, and as leaders, we need to help people and coach people through, those moments. And I've in some cases had, bums on seats where you've had to deal with a team who are there and you just can't get rid of them. And so there's only one way up, and that is to really sit down and spend time and find out what they want to achieve themselves. And quite often, it doesn't work in every single case. Sometimes people do need to remove themselves or be fired from particular situations. But in many situations, just by showing interest and understanding what makes them tick, and really what their influences are and what they want to learn, it's a very important thing. You can coach people up, you can coach people out, you can demotivate people by ineffective coaching, as some people do. So it really is listening, I would say, is one of the key things to, really listen to your team and help build them up.
Do you think that what you're talking about really is finding out each of their quote unquote whys, which will give them, they'll understand and believe that you really do care about them, and as a result, they'll want to perform, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is that right? Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, now we've got multiple things that come into this equation. We've got a generation. When we were at the Middle Market Summit, one of the conversations there was about that we had at our particular table was about how to boom deal with millennials. We've created millennials. Millennials say, we've been raised to work on effective teams, to want to change the world, to feel passionate about things, to do what we should be doing, and find that one thing that makes us tick and buzz and we're excited about. And then what happens? They get into these different work environments where that isn't the case, and they're working with unmotivated, unproductive people, and they're deflated. And then they become, the pittance of what everybody is talking about, that unmotivated employee within a company. It doesn't have to be like that. I got to say, my interaction with most millennials these days are fresh thinking, creative, innovative, got wonderful ideas. When you think, is it the 50-plus-year-old group of people who are coming up with multi-million-dollar ideas, or the 19, 20-year-olds? I know from personal experience, it's the younger age generation.
Right.
And especially when you're looking inside technology, companies are not even looking at a $5 million possibility these days. They're looking at something that can generate 25 million plus. And who are coming up with those ideas? Millennials.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good segue into talking about, creating a winning culture. I do a lot of sports analogies with business, and I have sports and business executives all talk to me about, especially the leaders, about one thing, a winning culture. And they talk about it, and this will relate to your architect. They talk about it from the bottom up and the top to the bottom, from the usher in the arena to management to the players, because they're all around each other, and that's a winning culture. Now, we've also talked, and as I've had with others too, of how important branding is for both the individuals and for their employers, which again relates to what you were talking about, finding out about the individual employee. And I've seen successful businesses be really good at understanding that their employees are also true ambassadors of their business. Explain again right here a little bit. You did in an introductory video what a company culture architect is and does, and then what's the best way to engage employees to be literally part of your branding and a winning culture?
Well, I think having open conversations about what the company goals are, what the mission and vision is for the company, first of all, and having everybody be a part of it. It takes a team to drive forward, and if people on the team are not aware of reasons of why things should be happening or shouldn't be happening, it makes it very hard. In one way, there's the old form of leadership of domination by intimidation, and on an as need to know basis. Well, that doesn't work these days, again, because the success is driven by the culture of the people. The culture itself will be determined by 30% of its population, whether the leaders of the business have control over that or not. If they have influence, they can easily lead 30%. But if they don't, if you have weak leadership, the company will define itself by the strongest personalities within that group. So it's very important to, as leaders, to be visible, to have open dialogue and discussion, and to really listen and have contributions from the team, which leaves everybody at the end of the day going home feeling empowered, rather than watching the clock tick down till 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that relates to another area that we talk a lot with our clients about, and that's developing trust, or a trusted environment. Because you mentioned being able to communicate with them and listen to them. If you develop a trusted relationship, then that communication and listening is going to be super valuable, will it not?
Absolutely. And actually, one of the programs that Inspiration FX offers is called Trust. And it's all about tolerance, respect, unity, sensitivity, and transparency. And putting those elements into any organization or any culture, you're going to have a far better effect when you are building trust. And sometimes, we sometimes look for overly complicated problems, let's say overcomplicated answers for these problems.
Right.
Where in effect, just by smiling at somebody, you build trust. Psychologically, it is proven when you smile at somebody, you're already building trust. If you just gently touch somebody on the elbow, as it was tested out with salespeople, you build trust with the customer, and the sales rates went up by something like 60% just by the salesperson doing an innovative touch on the elbow. So little things like that is our interaction, our face-to-face communication is so important. And these days that gets broken apart and diluted because of the amount of electronic communication that we do. So it is still ultimately important to take that time, not send the email, walk over to somebody's office and sit down and have a cup of coffee with them, even if it's just for 5 minutes. You're going to have to build relationships.
It's interesting. When I was at Deloitte and Touche, when I was basically a grunt at Deloitte and Touche early on, I made recommendations, which wasn't my role at that time, being a grunt, but I did anyways. And I would say the mentors, they're kind of working, but no one's really trusting what to tell them because they don't know who they're going to tell about what they're saying. And I said, why don't you just unofficially don't tell anybody mentors, and just once a month take 2 or 3 people out to lunch and just talk to them. And although I didn't have much credibility in less than a year, they actually did. And holy cow, it even worked. It's amazing. Not to put you on the spot, but you used a word that I have issues with. It's called tolerance, and I understand the intent of the word, obviously, for a lot of different peoples and actions. But I personally, not to play semantics, I personally prefer respect and acceptance rather than tolerance for obvious reasons. Any thoughts on that?
Well, my perspective of tolerance, yes, of course, I don't tolerate bad behavior. I don't tolerate poor performance. I don't tolerate disrespect. But tolerance, from more of a diversity perspective of accepting input from people who are sometimes totally the opposite personality type to yourself. Introverts, extroverts, cultural, preferences in life, religious perspectives. I've worked with all 73 different nationalities working in the cruise industry. And that word really rings true to me because there are so times where I watch people don't have the patience to sit and listen because either there's a language barrier, there's a religious barrier, there's an appearance barrier. So we have to be tolerant to things, our own prejudices, to make sure that we are really giving that person an opportunity to shine in their own way. And I think whether it's a board of directors or whether it's a low-end team in any organization, it's as equally important to have that mutual respect for each other, open-mindedness.
Yeah, great point. All right, I got a few personal questions here. Not too personal, but personal. They're like anywhere from 1 to 5 word answer type of deals. Do you have any pets?
No. No, we travel too much. I'm on the road too much for that.
I know.
I love animals, though. I'm a complete animal lover.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you share my 3 dogs and a bird that we hear. Do you have a favorite activity or sport?
Yes, I love working out. I think working out's a very important part of keeping a steady mind as well as a healthy body. I love playing the guitar. I perform at every opportunity I can do with my guitar, and I sing. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I won't ask you for a demonstration now, but at a future date. Do you have
That's
a do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
Well, I love the character of James Bond, for many attachments and associations to what James Bond represents. But an individual movie, I'd probably say the new version of the Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh, wow. Cool. Very cool. And do you like American British TV?
Oh, I've become very Americanized after being over here for 26 years, off and on, backwards and forwards. I think the British television have a different depth of humor, a very different humor, and I greatly appreciate that. But also, I love, what Hollywood brings to the table for quality of productions, away from its diversity issues. Women in movies and diversity issues of lead males in movies as well. I think we've got some wonderful high-end, big budget productions. So yeah.
How about favorite music?
Oh, 50s and 60s, hands down. I love the old 50s and 60s. Favorite influences of the Drifters was the first album I bought, and I love all that old, very gospel-based soul and 50s and 60s style music.
Make you feel good, inspire you, right?
It does. Makes my feet start moving,
Favorite type of food?
Salmon, fish, my favorite food. I eat salmon every single night. Love it.
Wow, Mr. Healthy, I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. I thoroughly enjoyed it.